Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stormworks, and in this episode, we're going to be doing some lifeboats. So, yep, that's right, we're getting right into it. You guys can see this is a lifeboat that I made a while back, so we're not going to make our own lifeboat. If you want to use this lifeboat, you're more than welcome to. I just copy and pasted it off of my Project H ship, which is a project that we did quite a while back. I didn't have a mic back then, so it's probably not as well known. But basically, it's just a hydrogen production plant that is in a ship form. So I just stole the lifeboat off of that. I removed, it had some rocket motors on it because it launches really weird on that ship. But just copied that, and we're going to be pasting them right here. We're going to tilt them up, and then these are going to be our lifeboats. So each one of these, I believe, has more than 8 seats. I don't know off the top of my head. I can't give you an exact figure. I'm sure we'll see somewhere in the video. But right now, I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I want to place them. I'm trying to obviously make this as compact as possible, but I think this is going to be a pretty good spot for them as it's pretty close to the Superstructure, which is where a lot of the people are going to be kind of hanging out and doing their thing. And then later on, you guys will see it's also pretty close to the drilling operation room where you control all of the drilling tools and that kind of stuff. So right now we are just going to work on getting this thing put in on an angle. So we've got to add this pivot, and then we're going to add some hard points and do a couple other little things to kind of spruce it up, make it look better. And then later in the episode, we are going to work a little bit more on the superstructure. Real quick before we get into the time lapse, if you guys like this oil rig series, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We do have a helicopter challenge going on right now for it, so if you want to participate in that, all the details are in my Discord. There will be a link below. But yeah, if you like this series, definitely leave a thumbs up. And we're going to keep kind of working away on this guy. And we've got another project that we just started. If you haven't seen that also, we're kind of making a really weird lifting body aircraft. But that's enough of that. We're going to get into the time lapse, and then I will cut back in and talk to you guys when we get some building done. All right, so we had to make a little bit of some modifications to the lifeboats just so you can get in them easier. So we added those hatches in the rear so you guys can get into it from the backside. And now I'm just working on a little platform that you can go up to crawl inside of them. So it looks like we need to move that up a little bit more and maybe angle them down a little bit. Now, I'm going to work on a catwalk in this episode so you can get to them, but just kind of bear in mind with me that it's going to change a lot more down the road because this catwalk's going to attach to the helipad. So that cross right in front is the helipad, or essentially where it's going to be, not exactly, but that's where it's going to be. So we're going to have a bunch of pipes going overhead and all sorts of good stuff. So there's going to be a building actually right on top of this platform. And you will be able to kind of go into the operation room and into the bridge and whatnot. But just kind of bear in mind with me that it's going to change. So we're going to add this. We're going to put a stairwell in right now. And I'll say that this stairwell on the right side is going to stay, but the stairwell on the left side is not. So towards the left here is actually going to turn into a building. And that way we'll have a little bit more interior space on this thing. So that's kind of the plan for the life rafts. So we're going to get that done. And then obviously we'll move on over to the superstructure. Now I really want to make the superstructure bigger. It just does not have enough interior room for what I'm trying to do. So we're going to lower it down another level, and then we're going to eventually we're going to pull it forward, and we're going to move it probably a meter or two past the front of the deck. And that way it will actually hang over the water a little bit, but that'll give us a lot more space. So really the plan for this is I just wanted to have them kind of in a central location where a lot of people can get to them relatively quick, which is probably pretty important for life rafts. So we're going to test this out again and just kind of make sure you can get into these pretty easy, which it looks like this works out. I think they're clipping on. Yeah, it looks like those fins. So we got to move these railings to the side one more block. That's fine. And then hopefully they will kind of sit in that pocket a lot better. So let me just get some paint on this, make it look a little bit nicer for the time being. And then we're going to move on over to the superstructure, like I said earlier in this episode. So let me just throw some supports down here, make it look a little bit stronger, which is kind of important. Well, not really super important in this game, but aesthetically, I think it's important. So that's what we're going to do. And then I kind of mentioned that this is going to change a lot. So down here actually is going to turn into a room, like an inside room. And I don't know what I'm going to put in there yet. So if you guys have any ideas, kind of let me know. I was thinking maybe like a machine shop or something like that. But also maybe kind of like a medical center. That way people could go straight from the deck onto or into a little medical room. But enough of that. Let me test this. And it looks like these are sitting a lot better, but the stairs are kind of useless. So let me move them back a block and see if they help at all. At the end of the day, you're ultimately probably going to be jumping straight into these anyways, but we're going to kind of skip that and kind of go over to the superstructure right now. So you guys can see that we had this kind of pattern on the bottom of the deck, which is essentially the floor plan above, and we're just going to kind of work on bringing that down so we have a third floor on the superstructure. And this part of the build took me quite a few tries, but that's probably because I've never built a superstructure for a oil rig or, really a lot of buildings in this game. So you can kind of think of a lot of the building on this thing to be more like an actual building because it kind of is. It's not really like a moving boat as much. So I am just connecting this catwalk, and that will give people the ability to kind of enter the superstructure from the bottom floor on the catwalk too, which I think will be a nice little feature. So we're going to tidy this up a little bit, and we're going to get some blocks down. I'm going to cut back into the time lapse, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what I do. All right, well, you guys can see that I'm struggling quite a bit with the shape of this thing. So that's kind of what I was talking about when I said it took me a few tries. It just, everything I was doing was just not looking right. So we're actually going to change this a little bit more. I'm going to switch over to the stairs for now just to kind of give myself a break from it. But you guys can kind of see what we're going for. I'm trying to follow the line from the top all the way to the bottom, and I think it just wasn't looking good because it's not super symmetrical. So right now I'm trying to worry about stairs, and that will give us a little bit better of an idea for how much space we actually have on the inside of this thing. The stairs are usually one of the more space consuming things. The rest you can kind of work around. You can move walls all over. You can kind of cram rooms wherever, but stairs are one of the first things that I always try to do on the interiors of the ship, just because they are kind of tricky at times, if I'm being honest. So, trying to find a good layout for them is always one of my first priorities before I start putting the walls in and doing actual floor plans. But I think what we have here will work for the most part. Now, what I'm going to do is, you see this line on the side of the building that is, it's the follow the 1x4s when we go back out there. I'm going to try to make that look a little bit more symmetrical. So the bottom is not really balanced with the top, and I think that's kind of what's throwing off the looks of this thing. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to actually extend this quite a bit. You can see that bottom floor when we were in there is actually quite small, and I don't like that. I'm adding this floor to maximize space. So I need to have that floor be large enough to do something. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a lot of cabins down on that bottom floor. So that's kind of what we are looking for. And you can see right here, it's very tiny. We're not going to be able to fit more than 2 rooms down there. So we need to figure out something to make it a little bit bigger. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull the entire front face of this superstructure out a couple blocks. But for now, I wanted to add some details to the side. So we're going to start working on adding some balcony space. I think some outdoor space for the crew rest areas is probably going to be not necessary, but pretty nice to have. So we're going to work on getting some doors in and kind of adding a small balcony. right, well, you see that we added some balcony space, and this video, honestly, it's running a little bit long, so we're gonna have to come back to the superstructure in another video. But what I want to kind of finish out with is we're gonna follow this balcony on the bottom floor all the way up the 3 floors, and I think that will start to make it look a little bit more balanced, a little bit better for us, and then we'll kind of worry about pulling the front of this forward and making more room later on. So again, kind of keep in mind that this is going to change quite a bit, guys, so don't take this as the final superstructure. This was a long work in progress, and it's going to change quite a bit, as a lot of things on this are going to as we build more and more. So I'm just going to throw this balcony up on the 3rd floor, and then we will not have exactly the same setup below, but it will be very similar. And you guys can see it's just because the deck is on the same floor, so it doesn't really need to be completely walled in by the railings. But I do want to put a door there for symmetry's sake, and I think that will probably make it look a lot better overall. The tricky thing about this is, I didn't really think about how much interior space I really wanted until we started building. So, we're going to need some office space and some bunk rooms and some bathrooms and, a mess hall and then a floor for the bridge. So we need a lot more interior space than you'd think. And I know it's a pretty small oil rig, but when I was building this part of the ship, it started to become pretty apparent to me that this was not going to cut it. So we need to make more space. And, that's kind of what we're going to worry about in the coming episodes. We're not going to do the interior until pretty much the last part of the ship. The rest of it, I really want to get done. So I want to make sure that all of the drilling works and, everything else is in place. The plumbing works, the heat works, the air conditioning works. I want to make sure all of that is done, and then we can go inside and just kind of decorate around. So the decorations aren't really that important. I still like doing them, don't get me wrong, but it's not critical to the actual function of the oil rig, and I'd rather get everything functioning before we kind of start doing the fun decorative stuff. So we're just going to keep playing around with shapes and stuff until we get it to a place that we like. I can confidently say it looks a lot different than that or right now it looks a lot different than this, and I am not liking how this looks at all. So don't be worried. It does look a little ugly right now, I won't lie, but we will change it. It'll look a lot better. And that is going to be just about all of the drilling or the building that I do in this episode. So we're just going to kind of check it out. We're going to walk around a little bit and close out the video. So if you guys made it to the end, thank you so much. As always, I really appreciate it. It helps our channel out quite a bit. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.